Zacznijmy od wykładu.
Let's start with a lecture by Michael, who's going to tell us about the reality constitution creation named New America. So let's start. Let's start without further ado.
Ja, vielen von euch ist ja Nova America und Swoop.
Thank you very much. Most of you know New America, but I would like to provide a slightly different context for it during this lecture. As you can see on the screen, you have the phrase, the artist society. The expression comes not from me, but was developed by Georgi Konrad. He used to be the head of the German Academy of Fine Arts, and he said that in the future we will need a society of artists where each and every member of the society would have to be able to use artistic tools and means of expression to shape the reality. For the last 22 years, I've been working using the method of reality construction, constitution of reality. It's an applied method. This topic has been approached theoretically in different domains, psychology,
Przepraszam, krótka przerwa techniczna, jak Państwo widzą.
Zobacz, czy tam działa. Teraz działa? Okay. Dobra. Also, Entschuldigung für die kleine technische Panne. Das muss ich.
All right, sorry for this technical hiccup, a glitch. Sometimes you have to rattle technology for it to work, but then it starts to work. All right, the constitution of reality as an applied method, construction of reality. Something that for me is and provides the means to imagine the way in which we could both imagine and function as a society, where dealing with a framework of interpretation within which we are able to deal with reality the reorganization, restructuring of reality around us. This strategy has not been developed by myself. This narrative strategy has been used by all nation states because there is a critical mass of people who believe in them, who believe that they actually exist. If there is if there is enough people who would imagine that Poland or Germany do not exist, these two entities will cease to exist. So this is a kind of contract. The national states have not been there for long. That's why we can actually afford to think about it in a different way. But it's not so simple because we've all grown into this kind of thinking. We've been raised to think this way. One of the examples of the use of this method by nation states was the naming commission in the so-called recovered land following World War II. You can see here the way in which the borders have been moved following World War II. The grey area was part of Poland until the end of World War II. The pink area was part of Germany. Following Yalta Conference, these borders have been moved. The lands to the east have been transferred away from Poland, so to speak, and Poland was moved to the west, which resulted in mass migration. Millions of people were forced to leave their homes and to travel to their new lands. The new government also had to somehow deal with the fact that the borders have been moved, and they have had to actually figure out how to make this new situation attractive, livable and attractive, how to explain to them that this is actually now indeed Poland, that it is part of the truth, that they can believe. And the commission, the naming commission, came up with the idea that these lands have been ruled by the Piast dynasty, who then set up the first Polish state. That the land was actually inhabited by the subjects of the Piast rulers, and the idea then from the commission, the naming commission, was to build the new residential centers, settlements, and call them 1,000 years settlements. So they built infrastructure, a lot of infrastructure that was named this the 1,000 years millennial settlements. There were also names. Grünberg was translated into Zielona Góra, the Green Mountain. Stettin was renamed as Szczecin, which is actually quite right, because Stettin and Berlin are both originating from Slav languages. I'm talking about it to show you the new narrative, how it's created, how the new narrative forces society to confront new reality, and how it can lead to creation of new claims. But actually, there were also periods of silence where this could not be discussed. Only after decades we can actually talk about it, how it all happened, the construction of that reality. Another example from the 18th century, the Frederick the Great's decision to settle the land that used to be marshland on the banks of the Warta River. Just like in the other river, which are now dry and allow for agricultural production, Warta's banks, the banks of river Warta, were also marshland that were being dried out to settle farmers there, and the people who were settled there were actually those who were planning to go to America. These people were redirected to these new dried land as the new America, and they were attracted by the promise that will be exempt from tax for a specific period. So we had Sumatra, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Sumatra, Malta, Saragossa, New York. These are the names of places in these new lands. All these names were patterned on the names of American locations to create this impression that people were pioneers moving into new land to create new reality. Since I live in the Polish-German borderland, I used to live in Poznań. My children are both Polish and German. So I've been actually fiddling with this idea for a long time, the national approach or nation-based thinking was not comfortable for me. So when I moved to Słubice and Frankfurt, I thought that perhaps I could create a reality that is a bit more fitting with my ideas. In 1998, we created Słupfurt. New America was created earlier. There have been a lot of people and associations who joined this project. When you see the flag of New America, you see that we didn't intend to create a new country. The flag was actually to make us realize that we have many flags around who actually create divisions in our heads. But this is actually a map of Poland and Germany and the Oder River. That is actually a flag. You see the Oder River flowing into the Stettin reservoir. And we have 4 parts: Stettin's land, Terra Incognita, Lebuzerzynia, and Śląsk. The geographers were wrong, as you can see. We can orient the map the way we want. So this is actually what people coming from Berlin or from Poznań would see. And of course, everybody can be and is a new American, because it's actually the question of how you feel and of your awareness. Are you the person from the in-between area who feels at home in the in-between area? As you can see, we removed the markers, the border markers. We also took over the city hall. We created the database of new names. And we actually changed the names to all the locations within the area to hybrid Polish and German names. This is the anthem of New America. We're going to sing it together with Roxana and Wolfram this evening. Roxana created a beautiful anthem that we will be able to sing together. As you can see, it's a mixture of Polish and German. Tools of cooperation that we use to create New America. It would be pure theory if it weren't for the people who created the Congress of New America. We and you all came here as part of the Congress of New America. Each Congress is attended by a different number of people, depending on the topics that we address. So you could see the picture from the first Congress. Słupfurt is the capital city of this land. It's quite clear. Słupfurt, written like this. The second letter is actually pronounced W. just like the English W. In 1998, Słubice and Frankfurt ceased to exist, and instead there emerged the first city to be located in two countries at the same time, Słupfurt, which is actually officially registered within the European Cities Register. Then another proof that we actually exist is this signpost to Słupfurt in Antarctica. When we describe a new space, we have tendencies to create divisions, what is within, what is without. So it's an operation using a circle. I created a Słupfurt circle. I decided to just arbitrarily place the center of the circle in a spot, just like the geographers used to do in the past, and we established the borders and actually created a low wall to mark the perimeter of this area. And we have named the streets. We have Rosa Luxemburg name. I think in Germany almost each city has Goethe Street or Lessing Street. We have Copernic Streets and Mickiewicz Street in Poland. Great authors, great writers. That's why we decided to also rename some streets. We have Słupfurt Street. Marketing is very important, and branding. These are the tourist information about Słupfurt. We are trying to advertise the new city. Unfortunately, the city hall of Słupfurt has been demolished in this parallel real reality. And here you can see our IDs. And because people love to have some IDs, we decided to also introduce our own IDs. You can enter the webpage of New America and actually apply for an ID. www.swoopford.eu. Sport is very important in creating identities for inhabitants of nation states to actually provide them reasons to be proud. This is one of our athletes who joined the Beijing Olympics. As you can see, nobody went to Beijing because we had our own Olympics at the same time. These are the sport disciplines that we decided to include during the Olympics, like for example throwing cigarettes over an obstacle, quite obvious. A standard part of every national identity are pictures and scenes, award making, order attribution. We decided to also follow this tradition, this part. We decided to award certain Słupfursian with specific awards. As you can see, this also brought further popularity. People were proud that they were actually awarded something. So this was actually all about creating framework, but framework is only valid and relevant when it's filled with life. That's why we created it as a laboratory where we can experiment with the concepts that we would like to be part of the newly created society, and that's what we do in Słupfurt. This is the revitalization plan. We decided to place Oder River in the pipeline, and because we will have new land, because of that we can have the new city hall there. It didn't work out. Perhaps we will be able to implement this plan until 2040. We also publish our newspaper, which you can find here in the room on the table. We do have our own currency, the Zeitbank currency, which is the time bank. Everybody who gets involved in Swoopford related matters for 1 hour, they can they receive one such unit of currency, which they can then exchange for services. This is one of the ideas which have already been implemented. We do have these coins, but actually it doesn't seem to work out so well in the neighborly exchange, because people do not, it turns out, expect to be remunerated for such for assisting each other. So, following further discussions, we decided that the Swoopford's Krankenkasse, which is the health service and health insurance fund, decided to fund specific services, like, for example, painting classes with Paweł Althammer. He's also a therapist, so actually art is a very important part of any therapy. If we want to become the Society of Artists, we should also integrate art in healthcare. As you can see here, there are further examples. Of projects, doctors' prescriptions, now the work on the Brückenplatz, the Bridge Square, the work which we started in 2014. There is just one principle. It's an open space. Everybody can come with their own ideas, which we can discuss and then implement together. Since last year, we declared this place to be our agora, our marketplace, where we negotiate our ideas. This is the typical parliamentary meeting held 2 years ago before the lockdown. This was a meeting on the 8th of March, the Women's Day, when we organized a conference on women's rights in Swoopford. In Swoopford, usually we work in working groups. Everybody who has an idea can invite others to join, and the working groups come up with ideas, which are then transformed into projects. Here you can see a whole garden creaming, the time bank project. We also have our shop and cafe. Everybody who's regularly involving themselves in our work receive the key to our hall. We just trust each other, so we feel quite safe offering these keys to all those people. A lot of people thought that perhaps this would not work so well if so many people have the key, but actually so far so good. Usually in terms of work within the Bridge Square, there are people coming from all over the world, the new inhabitants of Swoopford. New Swoopfordians come from Cameroon, Iraq, Iran, Guinea, the Netherlands, Bavaria. And of course, they're all immediately issued the New America's ID. We also have a lot of long-term unemployed people being very much involved, people who are prevented for legal reasons to take up legal employment. They can come to the Bridge Square, and they can get involved in different activities. The same goes for marginalized people. These people who have been marginalized in other societies come and become part of a society. They can create their own society. That's the opportunity we provide, and which is very important, especially for refugees. When people get involved in projects, they also take up responsibility. We take up responsibility for them when we implement projects. When we implemented projects in the past, we also asked people about their problems or issues, and we try to address them for example, with the lawyer that we worked with and who, together with us, led 122 cases. Dieter Bormann was with us for many years. He has recently retired. He's over 80. So, as you can see, it all works out. Our repair cafe, the place where you can come and fix your equipment. Fixing bikes is very attractive and very popular because many refugees have to use bikes to move between the flats and the city. The students as well. The free shop. These are all ideas created by the people and put forward by the people. In the free shop, you can exchange goods that you no longer need and find goods that you now need. As you probably heard from the media, there are people now who are stuck in the border between Poland and Belarus. We are trying to collect goods that we could provide these people. We have created a textile studio and we could make masks. Dorota and other Cameroonian Subfurchens brought the textiles that we used for our characteristic masks.
So this is garden claiming everyone can get their little plot, declare that it's theirs, and cultivate it. Many people who use this gardening places, they have experience, for example, from Cameroon, they are able to grow their own food like that. Since July that year, we've been celebrating different things. We had dancing workshops with Bijou, choreographer, dancer, singer, a great artist who has been active in our community. We also built a city from carton boxes, but we also pray. These are the Shiites, the Muslims who pray. 1819, we also had the Sonnets who prayed on Fridays in our place, but now they have their own prayer places, their own mosques, etc. We bought different things together, we did different things together. We also performed together with Thomas Roth, director, our own drama play, including different actors, such as Bijou, who was the arts director. We also created our own performance. So I think that this is enough. As I know myself, I've talked too much. The best thing to announce future is to create it. And this is what we want to do during this conference. At this conference, we want to find new ways to achieve our goals, and I'm very happy for all participants being here, including those that joined us through live stream. We should get inspired. We can inspire ourselves. You can find our email and the website because to contact us, because we want to create a network and make it strong. I'm giving the floor to Joanna now. Thank you very much, Michelle, for the travel to New America and new reality, including our new community that is being created in Swabfurt. Those who haven't experienced that, most welcome to see it, experience it, because it's a special place where several cultures get into a dialogue, several different outlooks on the world. meet here, there is this melting pot that will revalue the society from the society, industrial society, moving to the society of artists.